Now's the time for Bruce Springsteen to prove he's not a fake. First, can I note that in order to best describe the musical aspect of this abomination Bruce Springsteen calls an anti-Trump protest song. I actually Googled, sounds Bison make, in order to find suitable adjectives. Now, let's get this straight. If Joe Grushecky and Bruce Springsteen released a bellowing, grunting, snorting cover of Double Shot of My Baby's Love, or if they shout out another one of their Kevin Smith Eddie and Rocky Horror originals about workin at the plant on the dark side of town or whatnot, I would not give a gram of a damn about what they were doing, nor how they distributed any gelt made from the proceeds. But they didn't do that. They've gone and released a protest song. Certain corners of the internet, the kind that mistake quantity for quality, slogans for action, and breathless aerobics for emotion, i.e. the Bruce Springsteen fans of America, lit up earlier this week because Joe Grushecky, a veteran Pittsburgh-based ersatz-Springsteen who occasionally performs and collaborates with the authentic Springsteen, released a so-called protests song, That's What Makes Us Great, featuring guest vocals by Springsteen himself. And there was joyful shouting throughout the land. Also, Mr. Grushecky, I am going to believe that this is a loud gesture to promote your career, unless you commit right now to give a significant portion of the proceeds from the sales and downloads of your little protest song, and by significant, I mean all, to John Ossif's campaign, or to organizations working directly to flip the House in the 2018 midterms. Alternately, you can also give the money to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Otherwise, Mr. Grushecky, and this is a perfectly okay option. 2. Please post this on your site. I released That's What Makes Us Great to get myself publicity, and I really don't give a damn if it changes anything. I have succeeded in getting my picture on the web alongside Bruce, and I have gotten my song on the radio, and that was my intention. I am very happy this song reminds people that I exist, because that's clearly the bottom line here. If you want to admit that, Mr. Grushecky, I will respect you. I mean that. Perhaps you think that just getting this slogan out there will change things. Well, friends, that's the just say no theory of activism. Was one single drug addict's life positively redirected because they saw those 3 words? Today, somewhere in America, some 22-year-old is going to stop studying for the LSATs long enough to contribute $18 to John Ossif's campaign. Someone else, perhaps finishing up their sophomore year at Wake Forest, is going to go online and ask their local Democratic Party if they can volunteer this summer to help candidates work towards the 2018 midterms. Each of these people is going to do something vastly more meaningful toward effecting positive change in America than either Grushecky or Springsteen did by releasing that song. You know why? Because Dissent is not a band t-shirt. You remember when you were in 11th grade, and you wore a band t-shirt to school, and people said, "Oh, you like Pink Floyd too? That is so cool. I like Pink Floyd." And clearly you do, too, because you have it on your t-shirt. We should hang out sometime. Do you want to go to Friendly's after school? Wait, you have rehearsal for the spring musical. That's so weird. You don't look like the musical type. They're doing Godspell again? Wow. But anyway, cool. You like Pink Floyd, too. And a protests song like this Grushecky, Springsteen groaner is very likely, until we are proven otherwise, the equivalent of a band t-shirt. You like Dissent. I like Dissent, too. That is so cool. I can tell that you really like Dissent because it says so on your t-shirt. Do you want to go to Friendly's after work? I have no problem with the song itself, at least not in purely musical terms. Full of the clenched, throaty, marble-mouthed mumbling and churning, badlands, chords that passes for sincerity if you're over 45. It's a perfect example of the kind of vigorous Springsteen imitation that somehow has gotten mistaken for garage rock over the last few years. Shit, I remember when garage rock meant the Liars or the Barracudas or all that dirty, hissy, thumping nugget stuff, but today, garage rock has come to stand for stale, bleeding, grinding, Southside Johnny-esque fumes that sound like the Letterman band on a particularly coked-up night. I blame Little Steven. I utterly despise how his little radio channel has both redefined the meaning of and monopolized the dialogue on garage rock. Here it is, Bruce's long-awaited protest song. We knew Bruce would come to save the Republic. After all, he's the friend of the working man. However, unless Mr. Springsteen shows up in Georgia's 6th district and campaigns for Democratic congressional candidate John Ossoff, don't try to tell me he's really protesting anything. And if Mr. Springsteen or Mr. Grushecky don't know how important the 6th district special election is, they have no right to be writing a protest song in the first place. Do you want to change things, or just give the appearance of changing things? Do you want to get patted on the back for the slogans you write? Or do you feel like actually rolling up your sleeves and working for change? It's really that simple. For generations, white protest music, indeed, the entire faux rebel soul of rock and roll, has been built on our willingness, heck, our eagerness, to mistake slogans for action. That's what makes us great, gives the appearance of being something important. But it will not change one mind or one vote. It will not defend one immigrant or protect one women's health clinic. It will not provide a dime for PBS. It will not prevent one act of voter suppression. It will not combat one unnecessary and ill-considered act of war. That's because it's a pile of slogans, completely disconnected from any action. At least as of today. It is worse than nothing. It emits the foul, sulfurous stink of the carny. Because slogans without action or instruction, disconnected even from charity, are pure fakery. Dear Mr. Bruce Frederick Joseph Springsteen, you have added your vocals to a not completely offensive track by this Grushecky fellow, causing hundreds of thousands of people to rejoice that their muscled messiah has shown his true activist colors. But will you go to Georgia to ensure that this John Ossoff wins his congressional seat on June 20th, and makes a vital and essential statement about the potential for the Democrats to win back the House? Will you commit to using your considerable, make that massive, authority, credibility and presence to influence voters and public thinking in the 2018 midterms, as you failed to do in the 2016 general election? True, Mr. Springsteen, it's not the responsibility of musicians or public figures to engage in political advocacy, but when you assume the role of a public advocate, that is, when you attach your name to a statement, and when you shout the slogans, you better be willing to actually use your power. Otherwise, I can only come to the conclusion that you are just making protest songs to buff up your public image.